I want to quickly talk about a tool we haven't used yet, and that's the erase tool. To easily make any photo that you open up as a layer and not the background, you can just click off of that unlock button. You can also, I just undid that, and you can also just double click it, rename it, and then select OK, and it becomes an actual layer. The tool that I want to show you is the erase tool, and it's over here, and the keyboard shortcut is E. So if I take that tool, I get a brush for my mouse. And if I go on here and start to click, it starts to erase this image. And you can see behind it's transparent. If I add a solid color, or how about let's just add a gradient. We haven't done that before. Let's go ahead and add a gradient. And let's choose how we want our gradient to look. So let's click down this drop down. Let's choose one of these gradients. We can adjust the style of the gradient here if we want it radial, angled, diamond, reflected. And then you could adjust the scale of the gradient. If you want to change the colors, you can double click in the gradient and then double click these colors right here to change the color of the gradient. Let's just do this, make a couple changes. There you go. So now we have that blue, pink, orange, very funky. And if we move this down below the layer and then back to the eraser tool, which we were using, we can erase this image and see that gradient behind. The problem with this and why we don't use the erase tool is now this is burned into this photo. We don't want that to be burned into the photo because now we can't go back and make changes. If we can undo this by pressing Command Z right now because that was the one thing we did. Or if we make a bunch of changes, add some layers, we could always go to the history and go back to this point where we didn't make any changes. But this is why we use layer mask. And so with layer mask, we learned before, you can just create that layer mask, grab your brush instead of your eraser. Using black, we can erase this, and then we can go back and we can paint things on. So it's non-destructive editing. It's non-destructive erasure if we want. So, and I got to make sure I have a full white. I'm using like a gray. Weird. So now if I want to paint back on, I can do that. So this is non-destructive editing with the same results as the eraser. So I always suggest using a layer mask instead of that eraser tool. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next lesson.